independent current source. Now let's look at the independent voltage source first. Voltage source. So what is independent voltage source? Is basically a voltage source that doesn't depend on anything. Like let's say we have a 5 voltage like this, plus minus 5 voltage, and let's say you are attaching something to this. It doesn't change in any way. It doesn't change at all. That's why this is independent voltage source. So you can have something 5 voltage like this. Let's try some. Let's look some examples. So 7 volt given with a circle. Like if you see a circle and a voltage is given, that is basically an independent voltage source. You can also have the plus minus flipped. You may have minus on top, and plus is all the same for voltage. And let's say if you have a negative value, let's say you have a minus plus given like this, and then that is negative 3 voltage. Now to make this one positive, you can flip this circuit. If you flip this circuit upside down, this is going to be positive 3 voltage, and these two are equivalent. Okay, now let's look at the next one. The next one we are going to see is independent current source. Independent current source, and this one is also exactly like independent voltage source. Like you will be having current like this with certain direction, and let's say this is 5 ampere, and if you attach anything to this, the current source is not going to change. It's going to remain 5 ampere at all time, and you can express that like this, or you can have some different values, 7 ampere, or you can have upside down and still be positive, like downside and still be positive 4 ampere. And also similar to this independent voltage source, if you have a current value like going in this direction, and let's say if it's given by negative 3 ampere, to make this one positive value, you can flip this one upside down. So it's going to be like this, 3 ampere, and both of them are equal. Okay, so this is basically independent voltage source and independent current source. Now let's look at dependent voltage source and dependent current source. And the difference between independent voltage source and dependent voltage source current source expression is independent voltage source are expressed with this circle, and dependent voltage source or current source is expressed with diamond shape. And the difference is independent voltage source you cannot change at all, but dependent current source or voltage source, it depends on something. Like current source depends on the voltage, like it can be depends on voltage or current. It can be dependent on both of them. Now let's look at that dependent current source and dependent voltage source, so you can understand it better. Here I'm going to erase this one. Let's look at this dependent voltage source. Dependent voltage source. Dependent voltage source come with a diamond shape like this, and it can be voltage dependent actually voltage controlled dependent voltage source or current controlled voltage dependent source. If you have a voltage controlled dependent voltage source, it will be expressed like this. It will be with a number and the voltage like V, and V can be anything like V1 or Vx, something like that. So if you have a multiplication with a constant number and a V value, that is a voltage controlled dependent voltage source. This one is voltage controlled. And this can be expressed in multiple different ways. Now let's look at another way you can express this. Like there can be something like this 0.2 V1. This one also a voltage controlled dependent voltage source. So these two are voltage controlled. Now let's see how the current controlled dependent voltage source will be expressed. I use a different color for this. Okay, here we have this diamond shape, plus minus again, And here this will be expressed with the I, multiplication with the I. Here you can have ix or certain number with I1, something like that. So here I can express another one with 0.2 I1, and both of them are current controlled. So this one changes according to the current, right? That's what it means. Now let's look at dependent current source. Dependent current source. And you see the difference between dependent voltage source and dependent current sources. For the current source, you will see the arrow inside of this diamond shape like this. And this one also have current control and voltage control. The current control will be expressed with multiplication of I variable, like here we can have ix, or we can also have like iy. It can be any direction, and iy divided by 1000 and stuff like that. And this is current control. And this one also has voltage controlled, same shape. Voltage control will be expressed with multiplication of V, and this can be Vx or V1, anything like that. Can be like 1000 V1. So these two are voltage controlled. And that's basically it. Like that's the basic thing you have to know about dependent voltage source and dependent current source, and also independent voltage source, independent current source. Independent, if you connect anything with it, it doesn't change at all. But for the dependent, if you connect something with it, like it's gonna change according to the current or according to the voltage. So it's gonna change, it's gonna depend on current and voltage. So that's why dependent and independent doesn't change at all. And that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. See you guys on my next video.